Welcome back to the Confessions of a Good Girl podcast, where we get to redefine what it means to be good and a girl. Today, we are continuing our conversation on overload, which is the second principle in the signature Confess method that I created for you in the show notes. Overload is building directly on top of awareness, which we unlocked when we talked about conditioning over the last 4 previous episodes. So it operates on the premise that your nervous system was never broken. It was actually really brilliant. And before you had the language for what was happening around you, your body created adaptive responses to help keep you alive, to help keep you feeling loved and safe. And the work here really is understanding how behind those patterns and not shaming and blaming them. So if you want to follow along and do the work, you can grab the Confess method, the complete self-coaching system, from the link in the show notes. But today we are welcoming an extra special guest, Kelly Brock. Kelly is a visionary mentor, intuitive business coach, and founder of the Multidimensional Matriarchs, a global movement for women rising into conscious leadership. Kelly was once a high-achieving entrepreneur trapped in burnout, and now she teaches women how to replace hustle with an intuitive, soul-aligned way of leading and building impact. Kelly is also a homeschooling, conscious parenting mom, just like me, who believes the future of leadership begins with how we lead ourselves and our families. I also have to add here that Kelly has been my very own personal coach for over the last 3 years and is absolutely incredible. And I can honestly say that I would not be the leader that I am today without her here. So welcome, Kelly. I'm so excited to have you here today.
I'm so happy to be here. I mean, this like existence of this podcast and this conversation, like it takes me back to our first conversations when I first started coaching you and you started telling me your story. And it was like, you're going to liberate so many women when you're ready to tell your story. Like when you're ready to do this, and now to see you holding the mic and like speaking your truth and inviting people on to understand how to step into new possibilities and like liberate. I'm just like, it's like a full circle moment. So I'm so thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much. And I'm really just truly honored that you are here, and I'm excited for the conversation that we're going to have. Like I said, I specifically wanted to bring you onto the podcast because I just completed your program Rooted, which is a 21-day nervous system reset. And everyone in this container was absolutely raving about how shifting this work is. Like, could not stop talking about it. And because I also know your history with this work, and I knew that you just had to be the one to come in and talk about nervous system regulation, how I'd like to do this is, we know I'm a rambler and I can go on for hours and hours just talking. So I have some questions to keep us on track, and we can kind of just see where they take us. That sound good?
I love it. I'm in.
Perfect. So first, I know you've done work here to really become an expert on nervous system regulation, but you didn't start there. So let's go back to the beginning. When did you personally first realize that what you thought was anxiety or being like too sensitive was actually your nervous system doing what it was trained to do? And like, when did it click for you?
Yeah. So I lived a lot of years having no awareness. Like I didn't even know, you're like, oh, there's a body, there's a mind, there's spirit. You have this thing called the nervous system. It was nothing to me. It did not have any weight in my world. And when I've had 2 burnouts that have happened over the course of the last 10 years. And in that first burnout, I looked around my life and was like, how did I manifest? How did my body get anxiety and depression when on the surface, I was like, I'm really happy. I love my job. I love my husband. I love my kids. I just had my second baby. And so I remember even going to counselors, Audrey, and being like, there's no capital T trauma here. My parents are still married. Like I have no reason on the surface to not be okay. And it wasn't until I started learning actually mindfulness techniques that I felt a shift in my body. Like people were like, you just need to get mindful. And I was like, well, that's cute. I'd love to slow down and breathe and take a moment, but I have 2 children and I have a career and I have a whole team that I need to take care of. And, there was so much responsibility. Even the idea of slowing down just it almost felt like rude advice. It was like, you don't know what's on my plate. But when my body forced me, I was willing to do anything anybody told me to do. I was like, okay. So I started breathing and I started slowing down. And these little moments, all of a sudden, I could feel my body shift out of what at the time felt like I couldn't use both of my lungs to breathe. I would have to, like, Audrey, I'd have to like sit up on a chair and like to get a deep breath because my body was so tight at all times. And in these little moments where I would all of a sudden just like feel my fingertips rubbing together, like feel like the ridges around my fingertip, like probably even with me talking like this, people's bodies are starting to just kind of soften. So when I started to do these little things, I was like, well, that kind of like helped me. And so my first introduction was very small, but it was these little moments that I realized if I pause long enough, I can like get a grip on my life a little bit. I can make better choices. I can be less reactive, but I didn't even know it was the nervous system. I just called it mindfulness. Well, then flash forward, a couple more years later, life decided to bring me a second burnout. And I'm like, how did this happen again? How did on the surface, I have the business of my dreams. I'm living out my calling. How did I have an adrenal crash? And at that moment, I really paused long enough to go, this is not visible, so it must be invisible. And it started me looking inside, going, how could something have burned me out without me consciously know it was happening? And I started to learn about the nervous system. And I started to learn about myself as an ADHD woman. I started to learn about myself as a highly sensitive, empathic woman. And to understand all of those gifts of mine or all of these qualities of mine were really people who were very hyper nervous system sensitive. And so I had been burning out and it made me fascinated. I was like, oh my gosh, how many other women, if they just understood this thing that is always working, always on, always surveying the room, deciding how much energy, what level of stress are we in. If they got this, we could change everything. Like we could change our entire experience of life. And it's what led me to really take the last few years to say, let me become a leader in this because other women need to understand this. If we understood the overload and the nervous system, we would have not only more women who were liberated and living in more abundance and their purpose and things like that, but they would have the physical ability to be present in the beautiful lives that they're living. So I just decided to geek out and go in. I was like, I want to know how to teach women how to connect with their nervous system.
I love a good geek out session.
I love it. Down a rabbit hole.
And I also recognize that as you were describing this, like being on all the time, you're literally describing this whole good girl mentality. That's what all of my work is around, is deconditioning that. So I love how that awareness was like, oh, like in order to maybe get past this like achieving feeling, this like restlessness, this emptiness, this burnout feeling, this I can't get out of bed feeling,
Yeah.
maybe we lean more into almost like this feminine energy or this peace.
So you talk about like, the things that you're doing with unpacking all the ways that we became a good girl, right? We became a good girl. I had no idea, Audrey. Most of my personality was in response to my nervous system growing up. So when I started doing this work and you start recognizing, like, oh, because of your inability to feel safe, you decided to respond in this way. And I was like, so I may not even be who I think I am. Maybe I'm not high achieving. Maybe I'm not like a people pleaser. Maybe I'm not an avoider, all these things. So a lot of the patterns that high achieving women succeed with are actually beautiful trauma responses that we like think are praiseworthy, but they were actually responses to not feeling safe. And so I've had to learn and had to lead other women in understanding we can let those unhealthy reactions go and choose safety within ourselves and still succeed, still connect, still win, still make a difference. But it doesn't have to come from the same place. And that is a reordering. That's what's called feminine energy. Like people think it's like just flowing and letting things come to them. No, it's coming from a loving, centered, heart filled, whole place is where a woman can let go of all those patterns she's controlling and holding on to that kept her safe.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. We're like, oh, well, if I change all of these patterns, if I stop doing all of these things that helped me achieve all these goals, then I won't be able to achieve anything anymore. And then
Yeah.
they don't want to do the work because they're terrified of not being able to hold what they've created.
Absolutely. And we're not only terrified to like not succeed again,
Mhm.
but we've built a life out, usually around our responsibility,
Right.
around being these people. And so when we let go of these patterns, it's not just affecting us, it's affecting everybody else who's been relying on that ambitious, good girl to make them all feel comfortable and safe and healthy
Right.
and happy. So it's not light work to begin the deconditioning. I know you're leading it.
And when you think about that, you're like, well, this could be where that sense of almost like guilt for walking into your own healing can come from.
Yeah.
Because if you do this deep healing, then will you be able to show up in the same capacity for those around you? And then also hold all of these plates that are spinning. But
Yeah.
there has to be a time when you're like, I can't hold all the plates if I keep living like this.
Can I tell a story of one of the moments that I like now can see I was very aware of a nervous system response in me? My husband, at the time, we had a 2-year-old daughter and a newborn baby. And my husband, Josh, I remember he would flare his nose at me when he was unhappy about something. And I hated that feeling so much of him being uncomfortable with whatever my request was as a new mother who's breastfeeding and cleaning and feeding babies and all these things. That bothered my little people pleaser body so much that I would avoid asking for the help that I needed from a husband who loves me, who's a good father, who would help me. Like he's not a jerk, but I shied away from ever even getting my own needs met. And I became the woman who can do it all. I'll never ask for anything. I'm so self sufficient. Isn't this amazing about me? But instead, I remember this one morning in the kitchen, and I am feeding a baby a bottle, feeding a toddler her eggs while I'm tying her shoes, trying to sip on cold coffee. And I look over at my handsome husband laying like a model on the couch, drinking a hot cup of coffee, watching Sports Center. And I was like, F you. Like, my gosh, who gets to sit down? You? You're like relaxing, and I'm doing it all. And I remember this moment looking at him being like, "But I haven't even asked for help.
Mhm.
This is my fault." And what even is beyond that for anyone listening, that pattern of our dynamic was because I was too uncomfortable to ask for my needs. That was a nervous system response. My nervous system had learned, do not make other people uncomfortable. Do anything you can do to make everybody else just happy, and then you can be happy. But I never was. So I was building up resentment like a good girl does. She keeps
Mhm.
her all her wishes silent. And so that was a moment where I could feel the tension in my body, sweat on my scalp, shallow breathing, and I'm looking going, this is not even his fault, it's mine. Like that was one of those self-aware moments going like something has to change here. And so again, what looked good on the outside and does for most women is I'm an independent, like hyper achieving woman. I can do it all. I can hold it all. And it's like this badge of honor we wear when really it's like nothing about that is healthy.
Right.
Nothing about that is sustainable. Nothing about that is good. It's not equitable. It's not sustainable. And yet I didn't see it that way until I was forced to say, what is happening inside of me and where did it start? How, if I'm really going to change my life, like again, those mindfulness moments helped me, but what really empowered me was to learn not only what's happening inside of me by understanding the nervous system, because then all of a sudden I could see it when it was happening. I was like, oh, I'm in that response right now.
Mhm.
I'm in a survival response. I could like cue it, but you can't see it until you have awareness for it. And then after that, it was like I started to get these little tools that could help me in the moment come back to a sense of safety and be less reactive in my life. And that started changing my life. And then from there, I started building capacity within myself to be brave to have like hard conversations like, hi, honey, could you? I'll never forget it. It was that same day. I remember saying to him, I was like, babe, can you tie Everly's shoes? And I remember him like cranking his neck around the couch from his model position and looking at me. And he was like, you can't do it. You're right there. Literally, he said that. And he's not a jerk. But he was like, that he was so used to me doing everything, it felt like so out of place for me to ask. And I was like, I can do it, but I could use some help. I'm trying to do it all. Like it was one of the first moments that I like admitted, like, I can, but I don't want to. Help me, you know?
Yeah.
Those were those like little moments where I started to unload my load that I'd been used to very proudly wearing.
Yeah. So walk me through what's actually happening in the body when we're going through those situations.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the body, we have this. Have you already educated them on the nervous system?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
if they've
So,
grabbed the confess method, they have worked all the way through this.
yay. Okay. So you already know, but if you're maybe just catching this episode, the nervous system is this beautiful system that we were born with that is always surveying the room, asking one question: am I safe? Its whole job is to keep you, your beautiful you, alive. And so its job is not like, how do I have the most loving relationship or how do I be the most healthy, ambitious woman? It's just like, how do I live? How do I survive? And so what's happening when an event happens, when any information comes into the nervous system, it's immediately going to one of two paths. It goes to a survival response, which is the sympathetic nervous system, or it goes to parasympathetic, which is the rest and like healing response.
Mhm.
So what's happening in the body is immediately if information comes into my body that is connected to anything from the past that ever was a threat, even if this is not a threat, right? It was your loving husband. It was my loving husband. Like, I know he's good to me, but it didn't matter. My body associated it with evidence from the past. And so immediately your body goes into not just a mental response, the body actually responds before your mind. So you go into a physiological response. So what happens with the nervous system in sympathetic is it goes into a response like fight, flight, freeze, fawn. It starts to your pupils dilate, your breath shallows, your body goes into contraction because it's experiencing whatever's happening as a threat
Mm.
and it starts to shut down all the other functions in your body. So when we think about it from like past times when we were cavemen and we were being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, the body's like, hey, don't care about digesting those branches we just ate. Let's run, right? I need all my energy to go to my adrenaline. I need all my energy to go to getting out of here. And so the same thing is happening when we're having a hard conversation or when I'm asking my husband to tie my toddler's shoelaces. I feel unsafe, and so everything else shuts down. What was interesting is I would always have gut issues, like major gut issues growing up. I had no idea that was an anxiety connection, that that was a response of my body shutting down from stress. My digestion would just turn off.
Mm.
So then when you have a positive response in your body where all of a sudden you're like you're on the couch with your girlfriend who gets you and you're just like, I just need to land here. And like all of a sudden your body's like, I'm safe, I'm healthy, I'm happy, it's okay. Your body knows it's not threatened. All of a sudden, all the functions in your body are coherent. They're all working as they should. Your body feels relaxed, it feels open, and it moves into what we call feminine energy, which is receptive energy. And what's cool is, and I teach a lot of women who are ambitious, but they're also very spiritually conscious women. When you move into that parasympathetic response, all of a sudden, creativity, innovation, inspired ideas, guidance from your higher self or your spirit team, whatever you reach you, it can all reach you. But it cannot reach you when you're in a survival state because everything has to contract and get you out of danger. And so your body, all of a sudden, your body will always respond before your mind even knows it's happening. This is why a lot of times we react and then we're like, why did I do that? Like, I'm sure you've got those same moments, Audrey, where you're like, why did I yell at my child like that? Or why did I say what that thing and I didn't mean to, but it happened before my mind was even conscious. It's because the body gets programmed to react in survival. But when we are in a parasympathetic, that safety place, we can slow and respond. So we've given ourselves space to go like, wait, what do I actually mean here? What do I really want to say? What is it that I want? We have access to all that information within us, but we do not have access to that higher mind when we're in a place of survival. And so this affects every area of our life.
Yeah. Our last guest, Maria Cerbas, and I had this conversation around how high achievers, we put so much out. And when we've achieved this thing, our bodies, we can sometimes feel like, no, like, where do we go from here? And when we're in a dysregulated state, it almost feels like we could be addicted to the overload,
Mm.
this like chaos, this busyness, this constant doing. It's almost this kind of euphoric drug of like, oh, I'm doing things. I have this accomplishment. I have this purpose. How can we see ourselves in going into that parasympathetic when we're in that almost like a patterned response of like, if there's no chaos happening, how do
Yeah.
we get out of that to get to a parasympathetic so that we can become regulated?
Yeah. And it's so good you named that because chaos doesn't even have to be negative, it could be good. It's like constantly winning, constantly selling, constantly creating content, constantly on. What has happened in the body, again, that nervous system has created what's called a safety zone. It's like your range of what you believe is normal. And so if you have learned to exist in always on, always active, always creating, always doing, your body thinks this is the most familiar thing to me. So anything other than this is unsafe. So the minute we go to rest, slow down, be present with our families, take a vacation, uh, gosh, whoa, take space to celebrate a win. Like our body usually will default into this is uncomfortable for me. So it goes into a survival response. So the things we say we want, the minute we get them, we don't even know how to be with them because they don't feel safe to us. And this is why you'll say, I want to sit down with a book or I want to sit down with a cup of coffee. And all of a sudden, the woman will look around the room and be like, everything's dirty. I need to clean it first. Ding, 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 ding. I got to find something else to do before I can give myself. So we're always in a pattern of delaying the thing we want because it doesn't feel safe to have it, safe to experience it because we think in our body, again, the body's going to react first. The body thinks we'll never make money again. We're going to be behind if we slow down. Like it tells these stories because it's got a mind body connection that's saying doing equals winning. Doing equals love. Staying active means we're going to be okay. And anytime you slow down. So it's important to know if you've ever felt that resistance, like that's normal. Like I remember trying to slow down. And it was like, what is wrong with me? What Josh would be like, do you want to sit down and watch a movie in the middle of the day on Saturday? And I'm like, absolutely not. I have 12,000 things I could be doing to be active. And yet, what I wanted was to be like the kind of woman who could like snuggle in with her man and like relax, but I couldn't. My body was like, no way. So you asked, like, what do we do? The first thing that has to happen is we have to give our body a new experience and create some safety within the body. We have to not only create safety, but we have to rep it out with frequency because your body only knows through repetition that, hey, we do, we do, we do, we do. So you have to start giving yourself evidence or experience that I can rest and it's okay.
Mhm.
I can pause and it's okay. So you've got to start stacking some of those experiences. Now, here's the kicker though. You do not want to stack those experiences and then be stressful. Like if you're trying to be peaceful and you're like sitting there and the whole time your body is still in a survival state going, I'm freaking out. This is uncomfortable. You are just going to rewire your brain to say, see what I told you? This is not good for us. Let's go
Mhm.
back to where we feel safe. So, what has to happen is this is why little mindfulness practices that get you into your body and into a sense of safety, like what I talked about before, bringing your thumb and your finger pointer together. And just like, I would invite everybody to do it right now. Like maybe even you do it with me, Audrey. Like, close your eyes for a minute. I want you to take a deep breath, inhale through your nose, exhale, big deep breath. And just with your sense of attention, I want you to rub your finger up against the fingertip of your thumb, your pointer and your thumb, and just really notice ridge by ridge the details of your fingerprint. And now you can bring your sense of attention. Maybe take that finger over your nail bed and just notice the texture, the skin, the shape. Now bringing your hands in your lap. I'm just going to go a little further for a sec. And I want to invite you with your sense of attention to just notice your chest rising and falling. And just like you were labeling for me, I want you to just say inhale and exhale in your mind. And now, with your sense of attention, if you don't have like earbuds or AirPods in, I want to invite you to listen for the farthest away sound that you can hear and imagine you're naming it for me. And now I want you to listen for the closest sound you can hear right now. And it may even be the sound of my voice. Coming back to the breath, I want you to inhale through your nose. And I want you to notice the coolness of the temperature as you inhale and the heat, the warmer temperature as you exhale through your nose. Stay here for just a few moments with your sense of awareness. Amazing. Opening your eyes, taking a deep breath whenever you feel ready. So, Audrey, I'm curious for you, what just shifted in you as we took those 2 minutes?
I am definitely a lot calmer than it was. And I love that you did those specific ones. Those are literally my favorite PQ reps that you have worked with me on. And they're just so calming. I'll find myself even throughout the day, like in random activities. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, I'm rubbing my fingers together right now. And I don't even realize that I'm doing it. It's just so easy to implement into your life in any scenario. You could be in a crowded room with one person, by yourself, on stage, at work, whatever, and still you can rub your fingers together. It's not going to
Yeah.
interrupt anyone, but it
It's
will
so,
do so much work for yourself.
it does it immediately. So, the worst thing I could ever tell an ambitious doing woman is to slow down and just put her straight from survival state into the thing she feels uncomfortable in. She may want it, but she doesn't feel comfortable with it because her nervous system will still be in a state of stress, a state of overwhelm. And so, the very first thing you have to do when you sit down for that moment of peace is you take your mind into the present moment. Because all of a sudden, I brought your sense of attention not to the looping story that your mind was in, but I brought your sense of attention to your body. And so what happens is it can't keep telling the same story because all of a sudden I'm like, well, what did you hear? And what do you feel?
Mhm.
And what's your nail bed like? And do you notice that temperature? So all of a sudden your brain is searching for the answers to my questions. It's saying, what did I feel the temperature change? What's that like? And so what happens is you brought your consciousness into the present moment, here, now, breath, body, touch, feel, any of your senses you could use this for. And it's about after 90 seconds to 2 minutes that your body, if you do these little mindfulness practices or what I call PQ from my training, which is just our little mindfulness reps. When you do that, your body, if you were running from that saber-toothed tiger, it would never slow down enough to notice its nail bed. It would never notice its breath. It would never notice the birds chirping outside. So because you can have attention to those things, your body goes, oh, look, we're okay. We've got enough safety and stability. We can look for these things. We can find these things. So you don't even have to tell your body to feel safe. It will do it because you cannot be present if you're in the past and the future, right? The past is where depression, guilt, resentment live. The future is where anxiety lives. And these are usually the two states we're always in when we are in a survival state. So when you bring yourself to the present moment, all you are is here and now and safe. And so now, if I tell this woman to say, why don't you go read a book for a little bit? She can do it from a nervous system that goes, this felt so good.
Mhm.
Right. This is why a lot of ambitious women, it'll take them days on vacation to finally come down. So their body can say, I don't have to check my emails. I don't have to answer these things. And it's like the day they're going home that they finally got relaxed. It's like, if you could use these little cues of let me just get present. It, if it was me, my best rep was 5 minutes of this. I would set a timer and 5 minutes, focus on my breath, focus on anything of those for 5 minutes. You will be in an entirely safe nervous system after 5 minutes. And the more you do it, here's what's cool, the faster, just like you said, you could go to your thumb and your finger and immediately it reminds your body, ooh, I only do this when I'm safe. Oh, all right, let's go. Let's go to the safety zone. Let's experience presence. And then all of a sudden, the thing you're about to do that you want to do will be associated in the body as safe. Like, is that not fascinating?
Super fascinating.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how quickly the muscle can be built too with just repeating for 90
Yeah.
seconds just a few times, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that helped, and then it like starts to click, and then it's almost like a snowball effect. It just
Yep.
keeps going, and then it just happens,
Yep.
like rubbing my fingers together, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And what's cool though, once I learned that, I realized, oh, I can help myself. And then I started proactively doing that in between me switching roles or switching calls or anything. I would do this little practice in between proactively to become present. So I would sit down in front of my computer 10 minutes before my clients and go, okay, let me get present.
Mhm.
Because all of a sudden I could be more available for them. Or before I leave my office to go be with my kids, I'm like, okay, everything's settled. Let me get present again. I'll take 2 minutes to just bring, because if not, they're like, Mommy, I've been waiting for you all day. And I'm like, you are just compounding on what I was just in. So these little practices, we can use them all throughout the day to create an entirely different experience.
That's
Yeah.
so, so valuable because we're constantly moving into different roles and different hats throughout the day. So just taking those few moments to yourself can just help you be so much more present for the people,
Yeah.
which is really what we're seeking, right? When we're being good is to be present for the people that we love and the things that we want to put our attention on. What is the thing about the nervous system that doesn't get said out loud enough? Like the honest, no fluff. What do you wish you heard a lot sooner?
Well, I wish I knew those things about it, but I wish I knew that you need to finish stress loops.
Mm,
Unloading the nervous system, understanding that one thing changed everything. So whenever we go into a stressful situation, doesn't matter if it's good stress or bad stress, right? Like, "Oh, I'm being visible, and this is exactly what I wanted, or I'm having a hard conversation, doesn't matter. Your body goes into the survival state, goes into a stress response. And if you don't close that loop, it remains as charged energy in your body. And this is why we can go to sleep at night and we're like, I am so freaking tense. It's because you had all these stress loops that went off throughout the day that you didn't take care of and discharge. This is why we feel and we say, I'm overloaded. Like I feel overwhelmed. Something within me is too much. And so this is something that is very natural. Like I remember seeing this video of when I learned this of these two ducks that were running against each other in nature, like they were, fighting each other right beside this pond. And as soon as they stopped fighting and walked away from each other, they both started shaking their entire bodies, like their little feathers, their little tails, their little necks, everything was shaking. And it was almost like they were shaking off water the way that they do. And then they were done. And then the two ducks literally got into the pond together and swam. And it was like, wait, what just happened here? Animals know that after a stressful moment, we need to unload that energy that was just in us. And so this is true for us too. Whenever we have a stressful moment, one of the best things we can do is to unload that. And there's a couple little ways that I'll do this. One way that I do this is shaking. I will literally just shake my hands. Like imagine you've got water on your fingertips and you're shaking so hard. You can shake your whole body. You can jump on a trampoline. Any kind of shaking displaces that energy. It's getting it off of you. It's
Mhm.
finishing the stress loop. Second thing is any form of exercise. So, you know how sometimes you'll just be like, I'm freaking stressed. I'm going on a walk. Your body knows, get this energy out of me. Any kind of movement is going to be big for this. A third one is a deep sigh. My kids think it's hilarious. I do it all the time. I'm like, like I will do these big dramatic sighs and they're like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm great. I'm great. Like these are little things that you can do to finish and let your body know we're all done. That ended. It's over. One of the reasons we keep replaying scenarios in our head is because the body hasn't finished. Did we finish? Are we done? Is the loop still open? Am I still in a survival state? Do I still need to be on the lookout? Even standing up on your tippy toes and then like dropping your heels on the floor over and over again drops that energy out from underneath your body. That unloads the nervous system and gives you more capacity, gives you space to be able to come back into safety again. Because one of the problems is we loaded ourselves up so big all day. I could tell you to do these mindfulness tricks, and you're like, not happening because it's not, you got too much built up in you. So learning to unload throughout the day in little ways is going to help you stay healthy, open, stable, safe within your nervous system. It's like, I wish I knew that a long time ago. I was so compounded with stress.
Yeah, that's amazing. Would you suggest that after you do these practices that you do like a PQ rep, like rubbing your fingers together or listening to
Yes.
the furthest and closest sound?
Yeah, 100%. Because now it's more accessible.
Mm,
Like now you very quickly could be like, oh, there's my breath. Oh, there's the grass that I can see and feel and touch. I can smell the coffee that's brewing. Those things might not have been very accessible to you before.
mhm.
So that will even just, if you do a PQ rep or mindfulness reps right after, that's just going to enhance your body's state of it's safe. I'm okay. Everything's good. I'm going to be all right. I can handle the future. That's what the nervous system now knows.
Perfect. Thank you so much for going into all of that and just sharing so clearly. And even the practice that you walked us through was so good. I have one last question for you,
Okay.
and then I'd love to hear how we can connect. So, what confession changed everything for you?
One of the biggest confessions that changed everything for me. Can I name 2? Because
Yeah.
they were really big for me. One was, I want more than this. I I want more. I This isn't it anymore. I That felt liberating and petrifying to me to admit that the life that I had was not enough and I wanted more than that. And I knew that that was gonna make a lot of people uncomfortable because everybody else was seemed good with it, but I wasn't. So that
Mhm.
was really brave, and that confession changed the trajectory of my life. And the second one was, I don't know if I believe what I used to believe. and allowing myself permission to say, I'm curious about new thoughts. I'm curious about new ways of being. And I'm not sure if I'm so cemented in what I thought was truth. And I just allowed myself to be curious and learn and maybe know something because I grew up in a very Christian, I had network marketing background, like very cult minded mentality of like, there's one truth and only one truth only. So when I was like, there might be multiple truths, that was huge for me. So that confession allowed me to stop participating in identities I'd outgrown and allow myself permission to change again. Yeah. So I would say those two.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those.
Yeah.
I always love how transparent you are in the process of you coming through to the magic in the mess and just really owning every chapter. It's just so beautiful. So, how can we connect with you and work with you further?
Yeah. So please connect with me on Instagram or on Substack. I'm Kelly Brock on both. I also have the Multidimensional Matriarch, which is a newsletter that I send out on Substack. And I've got Guide Not Guru podcast that I do every single week where I'm just sharing and teaching, trying to be a deposit in the world. So I would love to connect in that. And if the nervous system work really is calling you, Rooted will change your life. It is one of the best programs I've ever created that empowers women to truly understand and take back power of the experience that's happening in their body. So I love Rooted.
100% agree. And every single link that Kelly mentioned will be shared in the show notes. So, let's go ahead and pull today's card. The first card that I've seen is the Mentor. What a beautiful card for Kelly. So if you're on YouTube, you can see the card. If not, then head to the show notes and you can see all the details for the card, as well as always the deck, because, I have to own them all. So I put it in there for you as well. Next week, we are continuing our conversation on overload with a Girl Talk confessional. Kelly will be back, as well as two other women. These Girl Talk confessionals are such a unique format and they are super fun. It's like raw and real, and girls out to lunch. We're going to grab drinks. So much fun. So please do subscribe so you don't miss it. And if you want to follow along to dive deeper into the Confess method, again, the link for that is in the show notes as well. This method was really built from years of trial and error and real life experience towards becoming a self trusting woman who no longer overrides her own self trust to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel chosen. I put everything together in one valuable place in a systemized, proven way that actually works so that you can time collapse your healing and become the woman who doesn't betray herself to belong anymore. And remember, we do not confess to be forgiven, we confess to be free. I'll see you later.